Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Tuesday, the 21st of March. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm delighted to say we're joined this lovely Tuesday morning by Stevie Clifford. How are we getting on, Stevie?
Hi, morning, mate. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is well. It's not as wet as it was yesterday, Derek, but it's not exactly sun shining.
Yeah, it's a typical March morning, certainly down here in Warrington. Grey skies overhead. Right, folks, just before we talk all things Rangers, there's a few bits and pieces to get our teeth stuck into. Just a quick word, first of all, for our podcast sponsors, Seneca Hair Restoration. They are the #1 hair transplant corporation in Europe, no less. So if you're looking for that hair transplant, if you're perhaps lost some self-confidence, then these are the guys to go to. And as ever, I've stuck the links, the all-important links in the description box, so do go and check them out. Also, we've got that brilliant offer on the website just now, whereas you can take advantage of 3 months' worth of content on the site for just £1. That in itself is a cracking deal. But you also get entered into a draw to win 2 tickets for the director's box for the home match against Dundee United on the 1st of April. So it really is a sensational deal. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. Right, Stevie, let's talk Rangers. Well, first of all, I'll get your thoughts on the weekend against Motherwell. It's the first time I've spoken to you since Rangers' 4-2 win at Fir Park. I know you've popped your blog out this morning at Four Lads Had a Dream, talking about, of course, the protest that took place prior to the match, the fans venting their views towards the board, namely Ross Wilson and Stuart Robertson. What did you make? What was your main takeaways from the performance, the result, and obviously the protest as well?
Well, to go to Fir Park and score 4 goals is very enjoyable. It was a good result again. The away form under Michael Beale has been fantastic, and if you consider what it's been like previous years and things, then to go on this sort of run is much welcomed. It had everything really that we already know, Derek. Didn't start very well, which has been a syndrome of time under Michael Beale, and then got back into it, controlled the game largely pretty much as they do. It's the front three, maybe not as prolific as we want them to be. They didn't perform particularly well in that first half at all, forward line wise. And that obviously was a big problem when the midfield got it. They, tended to go backwards rather than forwards. So that was a bit of an issue. Great equaliser by James Tavernier, and then he produces a wonderful assist. We go 2-1 up, and at that point you're thinking, we should be able to go on and consolidate the result. Antonio Cholak goes clean through on the right-hand side, roll it across, and Sakala, it's 3-1. And at that point you think we should be fine. And then something happened, Derek, which always really happens in football. It's a weird phenomenon. And David talks about this. David Edgar on Heart and Hand talks about this quite a lot. The giving away of unnecessary corners always lead to issues. We do that and we don't defend it well. In fact, the defending for it all round is pretty grim. Tavernier doesn't clear it properly. And then the result in and McGregor doesn't come. And then he stays in the line as Cholak's trying to block it. And there's a whole host of mistakes in there that just isn't good enough. But credit to the team again, they bounced straight back. A good third goal, really lovely finish by Todd Cantwell, who I thought was excellent. Derek, it'd be nice to touch on his form in a wee bit in the show this morning. And then a cracking fourth goal, really good assist by Alfredo, and Tillman, and lashes it in to make it 4-2. And this is interesting because this is where I feel that we are. As a team, when we need to score, we score. Yeah. Right. I think that's really fair. And we've shown that under Michael Beale. See, when we don't have to score, Derek, but you want them to be a wee bit more ruthless, like the last 10 minutes there, we don't score. And it's almost like we go into a relaxed sort of form, a relaxed mood. And we didn't add the goals that we maybe should have in the last 10 minutes. But in credit to them, I thought they moved it really well against 10 men. They produced some good performances and some good movement and things in that last kind of section of the game. So overall, more than happy with it. It's basically where we are. I think that's fair. I think, it's everything we've discussed. Good in patches, individually, collectively. Still issues we need to iron out. We need to get more. I talked about this in the blog this morning, just the overall, and it's easier said than done because this is so difficult and every team's looking for them. But we need a couple of killers in our team, guys that are able to score the goals that we don't necessarily need. This is what I'm talking about, but getting the serious numbers. Other teams on Saturday, without mentioning them, would have scored another 2 and won that game 6-2. And that's where we are. That's where we need to get to, the kind of ruthlessness ability. And Michael Beale talks about it, in fairness. So, but on the part overall, Derek, really happy that the overall form under Michael Beale is excellent.
Yeah.
And the team do deserve a lot of credit. You know, there is a lot of negativity at the moment. But what the blog tried to do this morning was point out that it's not all bad. We do deserve to be okay with the form. You know, we can give the players lots of credit. There is really positive points. Todd Cantwell, Nicole Raskin, you know, Malik Tillman. There's lots of things we can be positive, but off the field, Derek, I'll defend the right of the fans to have their say and do it the way it was done on Saturday, when it was before a match. As soon as the game starts, you know, it's right behind the team and things like that. The message itself, I think, is one that's been building for a long time. And I talk about it this morning, lots of coverage on it on the blog. You know, I've been very vocal. I've had my say on Ross Wilson or Stuart Robertson. I've had my say on the investors and things like that. So it's out there, and I don't think it needs necessarily to be repeated as such. But what I talk about this morning in the blog, and what I think is really important for this club, is that we begin to dialogue, and the lines of communication between the club and the sport have opened up again. To quantify that, we heard from the boardroom last in September time, just after Rangers had been beat by Ajax and by Celtic. It was the infamous John Bennett kind of said about best in class and stuff like that. Now, that's been completely misconstrued now, and that message has been lost. But that was the first time we'd heard from the boardroom in over a year. That's too much. We don't want it to go over the top where there's statements all the time, but we need updates. We need clarification on things that has happened. We need an avenue, a line of communication which we don't have. And I think that's where it becomes, you know, problematic, and where we are. For me, it might come too soon for individuals at the club. That we will see. But the investors have done a really good job at Rangers. I think that's important to say this. They've, you know, the commercial turnaround, the financial situation of the club, the annual results and all that are finally where we want it to be. And after what we went through, that's an incredible turnaround. They deserve huge credit for that and the growth of the club. I'm all for that, and I'm all for making sure that we're being fair with the investors. I think that's fine. But the balance isn't right, and that's exactly where I am. The balance of the kind of boardroom support, the club, isn't correct. And I think that's exactly what we need to look at. And that's all in the blog today, Derek. And that's all covered in there. I like to think it was balanced and it was fair. So if people want to go and check that out, please do, and they can give us their feedback on that.
Yeah, go and check out it, folks. Just a few comments just regarding that protest. It's all about opinions, of course. Robert Robertson raises a point. He says, love the Union Bears, but they need to give it a rest now. We all need to get on the same page. It's an interesting point. Just talking about the on-field stuff, Stevie. Michael Beale's had such a big impact since he's come into the club. It's been near perfect. You've got to say, away record, 100% record. In the league, they were, of course, the only drop points was at home to Celtic late on. It's title-winning form, isn't it? But unfortunately, the damage was done prior to him arriving at the club. But I think, I mean, at this point in time, of course, we're into an international break. I think it's important to take stock and just appreciate the work that he has done. I know the League Cup final stings, and I'm really hoping, as we all are, that he can rectify that in the Scottish Cup semi-final that's approaching next month. But in the main, he's worked wonders with a squad that appeared broken. I know he said that it wasn't as broken as what he thought. I know he talked about revamps after that League Cup final. But for me, if you're judging him on if you had his report card just now, Stevie, What sort of score are you giving them?
10, Derek, because, and this, I'd be willing to listen to opinion that would say he would maybe lose a point or so for the League Cup final. That's fine. That's all about opinions on the day, and we spoke about that and about him possibly getting that wrong. That's been covered. But if you think about the position of this squad, some of the individual performances, some of the collective performances at the time that he came in, to go from being in that situation to now being in April and having not lost a league game, having only actually drawn once, and went on that incredible away run. And I genuinely think that he's punching above his weight to an extent. But he's given me a lot of positivity going forward, Derek. Listen, I'm a huge fan of Michael Beale. I think I don't want to repeat it and kind of over-egg it and things. People knew my position with the next manager and who I wanted in and what I'd said about Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. So being here under Michael Beale, I'm really pleased with. It does surprise me how well he's actually done to an extent, just because, Derek, I really felt that this squad and the team were broken. So that is something that we'd spoke about. If you think about the performances in some of the games, not only the results, but the performances where they seem to just give up at times and things like that. For him to go on this run has been fantastic. The recruitment in January was good. It was really good. And although there's maybe, we could have needed a few more, the ones that he's brought in have been really positive. Now, that brings me a wee bit, I think, to Todd Cantwell. So hopefully we can kind of touch on that. But overall, Michael Beale-wise, I think, 10 is more than fair. 9 if you want to look at the League Cup and things like that. The negative, the only negative for Michael Beale is he hasn't managed to overcome Celtic yet.
Yeah.
In the 2 games, we were mightily close at Ibrox, but I think that summed up where this team is. In the League Cup, we didn't perform, which is a big disappointment, but again, is where we're at with a squad of players. He needs to, in the next 3, Derek, he needs to rectify that for confidence and belief in him to completely go with him and be hand in hand. I think that's fair. The semi-final is hugely massive for him. If he wins that, we really kick on then. Got a great chance in the cup final. Like to win at Ibrox in the last Old Firm game. I think that's vital as well. And we need a positive performance at Parkhead. We cannot go there and capitulate, and we cannot go there and not perform. We can hurt teams. I think, when you think about the goals that we've scored, talk about this a wee bit this morning as well. When you talk about 3 and 4 goals at the likes of Livy, Edinburgh visits, Aberdeen, Kilmarnock, we're scoring goals. 4 at Motherwell. These are all positive things. We're scoring goals. So when we go to Parkhead next month, we need to go and try and push our game onto them and not allow it the other way around, which has happened too much. They're a really good side. I'm going to stick with that. I know it's unstaunched, Eric, to say it, but we need to go and really impose and really push our game onto them and see how they handle that as well. So we've got 3 games to do that. Michael Beale talked about a better showing in those games, and I think that's completely fair. So overall, I'm really happy with where he is. I'm a huge supporter of what he's doing. I can see it in the team. I can see how they're trying to perform and what they're trying to do. I like the ideas of going to 3 at the back and trying different things to kind of eradicate and get the mistakes and get the best out of players and stuff like that. So, no, I'm really happy with it, especially considering where we are. If you think about those last few weeks under Van Bronckhorst and the types of performances we were getting to where we are now, it's much better. So, all positive for me on the playing front, although it's nowhere near perfect or where we want to be. I want to make that clear. I don't want people thinking that suddenly everything's wonderful in Stevie's world and he thinks everything's great. It's not. But where we were and where we are now under Beale with that same squad largely, I'm really impressed. And I do think that he's managed to get 2 really high-class signings in January.
Yeah, before we touch on Todd Cantwell and a bit of a bit of noise surrounding him from the weekend. Bob has raised this point a few times. He says, what are your thoughts on the Philip Scorb transfer target, first team or no? This was just a story yesterday that broke. Apparently Rangers in a transfer tussle with both Newcastle and Leeds for the teenage talent Philip Scorb. He plays for Portobello CFA Thistle for their academy, but the Rangers are looking for him for their academy. He looks set to play for Rangers as a trialist in a youth tournament against Man United this weekend. He's already been down south to visit Leeds and has already been visited at Newcastle as well. So certainly would be one for the future, that one, Bob, but I don't know too much about him, I've got to say. On Todd Cantwell, Stevie, I thought he was man of the match at the weekend. I've been really impressed with him every time I've watched him, basically, and the more he plays in that team, the better he seems to be becoming. Few comments regarding his role in Callum Slattery's sending off at the weekend as well. Ricky Foster of Motherwell, employed as the head of coaching at Motherwell on the BBC, says it was embarrassing. Referenced Tyson Fury and said he wouldn't have went down if Tyson Fury had done that. So I thought that was a bit rich. For me, it was certainly another yellow and a red card. But Todd Cantwell coming in for a bit of stick, Stevie, from some quarters. What do you make of that?
I'm not sure I'm allowed to describe Ricky Foster as how I would want to, without Johnny giving me a call this morning, Derek. So let's just say I think his opinion is absolutely nonsense. There's a tinge of bitterness around Ricky Foster every time he speaks about Rangers. I'm not quite sure why. He's quite happy to come and wine and dine himself on match days at Ibrox and go and sit in the gantry and take the perks of reporting at Rangers. But every time he opens his mouth about us, he's got something negative to say. He recently said on a podcast that every time Rangers play Aberdeen, he want Aberdeen to win every time. And once again, when the opportunity is there, he stuck the knife in. I think his opinion is absolutely nonsense. And I'll qualify it by saying that anytime I referee, if you want to swing your arm back towards somebody's face like that in an attempt to fend them off or push them off and you hit them like that, then you're going to be cautioned. It's not a straight red. It's not anything. It's like that, but it is a yellow card. Now, regardless of what Todd Cantwell does, if Todd Cantwell had stood there and held his face, still would have been a yellow card. But he's got enough for, and if you slow things down, Derek, as we well know, it puts a completely different sort of side on what happened. If you watch it at proper pace, he's actually smacked him in the face. Now he's hit him under the jaw. He could have bit his tongue, could have hurt his mouth, whatever. But if he gets hit like that, I want my player going down. I want us trying to win the free kick. I don't think there's any harm in that. So Ricky Foster can bump his gums all he likes. And I can absolutely assure you that when he played for Rangers, if he got touched, he was going down like that as well. So there's zero relevance to anything he has to say when it comes to us because it is sadly tinged with bitterness. He's already done it before. So, I'm not really interested in that. I think it's just noise that has no real relevance to anything. He's supposed to be, an ex-footballer, so you would think he would know, albeit he's certainly not the best footballer in his household, but I'm no fan of his, Derek. If you want to speak like that, that's absolutely fine, but no relevance. Let's move on.
Yeah, listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Ricky's point yesterday, on Sports Scene, not yesterday, the weekend, of course, was it was embarrassing, he said, of Todd Cantwell. Don't agree with that. And I think the referee made the right call with regards to that one. Interesting point made by Ali McCoy yesterday, Stevie. I wanted to touch on this. VAR is reared its head again after the weekend. McCoy's came out. He was speaking at Hampden to preview Scotland's upcoming matches against Cyprus and Spain. He says, I think it's been a bumpy ride everywhere. I'll be brutally honest with you. I thought it would be a great thing. I thought anything that rights a wrong must be a good thing, but I've changed my mind. It's driving me crazy. It wouldn't disappoint me if we didn't see it again. I'm all for goal line technology, whether the ball goes over the line and all that sort of stuff, but I would not be breaking my heart if we didn't see it again. What's your thoughts on this, Stevie? there's a bit of debate over the VAR rulings at the weekend, of course, with the Rangers goal, the Cantwell goal, I think the Motherwell opener as well. There's debate around that. Folk are not too happy about how it's been used. What's your feeling around it? And would you be happy to see it being ditched, as McCoist was saying yesterday?
No, I'm pro VAR. I have been, and we spoke about this quite a lot. You only have to look at the impact it's had on Rangers games since we start. I think we're at half a dozen VAR decisions for penalties in favour of Rangers, Derek, which have been missed by officials. You think about the one at St Mirren, Ryan Kent. Think about the one at home, Aberdeen, when it was a handball up high, which everyone's seen, and they didn't give. You look at the one in Edinburgh where Kent got it. So, like Craig says there, Derek, every football nation has VAR. It's interesting as well that, the turnaround in other teams getting penalties for them and getting against them has been, the turnaround in those decisions has been quite high and proven to be correct. And this noise has started again. Disappointed in Ali's comments, to be honest. See, with regards to Saturday, both the decisions were correct, the offside decisions. So, this is what baffles me. Sky made such a big deal of Rangers' goal, but they hardly touched Motherwell's goal. Both of them were onside. What was better for me to comment on was Motherwell's equaliser, where it comes down and clearly hits Beavis Mugabe in the arm. So that's a bit strange for me. Comment that. There was another decision from VAR on Saturday as well. Scott Arfield had a shot which Beavis Mugabe clearly went like that and hit. Now, we never even looked at that. We never even went back on that. So they're the kind of ones that I think, sometimes that cause more issues with me rather than the offside thing and the lines being drawn. Both offside things were correct at the weekend. I don't have an issue with that in the slightest. There was one in the Kilmarnock game that I seen the handball there that was quite a big decision. I've only seen a clip of that online, Derek. I don't know if the free kick was given for a push or what before it. I need to go back and look at that. But it's never going to be perfect because it's still opinion. But things like offside can't be wrong because it's all done technologically wise by the lines and everything else. The decisions at the weekend were correct. Just like when we went to Tynecastle, by the way, and we had a couple of goals offside with penalty shouts and that were turned round. I think there was 5 VAR checks that night, and all of them were spot on, and we won 3-0. Now, we didn't get them in our favour, if I'm correct in thinking that, but they were properly correct. So I've got no issue with it. So I'm pro VAR. I don't agree with Ali's comments at all. We'd like it to be a bit quicker and everything else, but the argument before when we didn't have it was rugby takes 30 seconds, rugby takes a minute to get the right decisions. Why aren't we doing it? Well, we have it now and people are moaning the other way. So, no, it stays for me. And dare I say it, if it had been in other seasons, Derek, as well, then perhaps decisions would have been definitely in Rangers' favour.
Yeah, I'm with you, Stevie. I'm still for it. I was surprised at Ali's comments on it, but there is a bit of angst from some quarters in Scottish football with regards to the technology. I remember when it first came in England and there was a lot of teething problems. God, they're still talking about it now and trying to fine-tune it. There has been a number of bizarre decisions made by VAR down south. But certainly I think in the main it's been good for Scottish football. And it wouldn't make any sense for me to ditch it after the big hoo-ha getting it implemented to then get rid of it. I don't think that is the way forward. Another story that came out yesterday, of course, Michael Beale touched on this in his pre-match press conference on Thursday ahead of the Motherwell game, was that Nico Raskin had a quad issue and he was a slight doubt for the weekend. He didn't play against Motherwell, of course. He then jetted off to join the Belgium under-21 squad, and he posted a message on his Instagram saying that he has a small injury and he hopes to be back soon. Let's hope he's back soon, Steve. This should just be our luck that he's out for the foreseeable. How do you feel about this one? let's hope it's a small injury and he comes back. I know he had an abductor problem at Standard Liège around the same time last season. He was out for about near enough 3 months. I'm hoping it's not a recurrence of that, but it's the story of Rangers season, is it not?
You're really pushing my buttons this morning, Derek. I tell you, with that out for 3 months thing, it's funny because one of my mates texted me yesterday and I replied back saying, "Great, we'll see him in November." So, I certainly hope it's just. I spoke about this a wee bit on Thursday when we were on together, Derek, and somebody that's been out for 3 or 4 months with no proper game time like he has will pick up niggles when he begins to play so many minutes and train regularly, and it's in a first team environment again. So I'm hoping it's just a slight knock. Rangers would have sent him to Belgium to see the national under the under 21s physios and stuff and just get their opinion on it as well. But they wouldn't have taken any chances, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have taken any chances with it. He certainly seemed to think that it was just a slight knock and he would be fine when I spoke to him on Thursday night at Broxy's big birthday party. We covered that last week as well. So listen, he's a good lad, and I don't think, touch wood. It's always dangerous to say that. Knowing our medical team, Derek, he's probably walking around with a broken leg or something. But let's hope it's not the case and he's absolutely fine. He's vitally important. And like Todd Cantwell, I've been very impressed with him so far.
Yeah, I hope it's nothing serious and Nico is back for the time that the league action returns. Dundee United, of course, returning on the 1st of April at Ibrox. Let's just get to a couple more before we wrap up. First of all, interesting point here by John Turner. You guys think we should go with a back three against them, meaning Celtic, of course. It's interesting because I wrote my newsletter on the idea of a back three, which you can find on the website, folks. Michael Beale has talked about his intention of changing formation. I think this period in the season gives him a lot of time on the training field to try and fine-tune that. What I would say is, for folk that maybe think it's defensive, I mean, Antonio Conte, I know he's leaving Tottenham Hotspur, but he won league titles playing a back three with Chelsea, Inter Milan and Juventus. Bolton, who I cover on a regular basis, play a back three and play some of the most expansive football you're ever likely to see. The back three for you, Stevie, can you see Rangers playing it against Celtic? And could we see it against Dundee United? I think we've discussed this before, but do you have any qualms about it?
No. I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing how it might work. I think John Souttar, look, I'm a huge fan of John Souttar. We spoke about this last summer when he signed. We spoke about it before, about what he can bring to Rangers. On that right side, he's excellent on the ball. His passing's really good. He's really strong. He's good in a duel. The issue with him is keeping him fit. So if we're now, and there is an argument, Derek, that we've actually managed him quite well under Michael Beale. He's actually been fit, since January. We've held him back. We've made sure that he's been completely fit. He had the 3 games in a week there when he said, when he spoke about getting fitness in his legs. He played in the B team game against Celtic. He had a wee bit of game time against Wraith Rovers, and then he came on again in the third game in the week against Kilmarnock. So he's had that in his legs now, and he's responded well. There's been no setbacks. Physically, he's feeling good. So I'm pro getting a wee look at 3 at the back, Derek, just to see how it would turn. I'm really positive about John Souttar. I genuinely think that John Souttar that played in the Scottish Cup final against us last year was really cracking. And if we can get that, which I'm pretty sure we can, Davis, Goldson, Souttar, for me, that's quite positive and that's quite comfortable. Ben Davis and John Souttar are both very good on the ball. So, I'd be more than happy, I think, to have a look at that. Certain games at home and things that will not suit us, but we can swap that around and we can fix that where necessary. For example, 3 at the back at home to some SPL teams won't really be needed, but that can depend on how expansive we are and how we play. So if Michael Beale's looked at that and thought it's the best way to stop the ball getting crossed the way it does, it always seems to come across the face of our goal and stuff, and conceding the way we do repetitively. If he's earmarked that, Derek, then I'm more than happy to go with that.
Yeah, lots of differing opinions in the comments with regards to a back three, but it's certainly something that Michael Beale is thinking about. He did mention it last week after the Wraith Rovers game, and it will be dependent, as you said, Stevie, on John Souttar remaining fit. He did touch on it. He's looking at possible another centre back in the summer. I think that's advisable considering the injury records of both Davis and Souttar, and of course Phil Hollander. We all know his injury problems as well, and he's out of contract in the summer. It's probably likely that he will be moving on. Okay, folks, I think that'll do us here. A big thanks to Stevie for joining us as ever. He'll be back with me tomorrow to talk all things Rangers, folks. Big thanks to everyone for interacting with the show. Sorry if I never got to your point. There was so many that came in, but please join us again tomorrow. And just a quick reminder for that offer, if you've not subscribed to the Rangers Review now, then now is your chance to do so. Just £1 for 3 months worth of content, and you also get entered into a draw for 2 tickets for the Director's Box for the match against Dundee United on the 1st of April. You'll enter through the main entrance, up the marble staircase. You'll have pre-match and post-match hospitality in the Blue Room and the best seats in the house as well. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe to sign up. Okay, folks, we'll be back tomorrow, but until then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Bye for now.